1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. There is a trick phrase that you can use so that you understand the pattern of the 3 against 4 in a very simple way. And this 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello everybody, this is Danae, and today's video is going to be all about polyrhythms. Polyrhythms and polyrhythmic structures are a subject that I actually haven't discussed on this channel at all yet, although it obviously is a very important subject since polyrhythms are quite common no matter which repertoire you're playing, no matter from which time, from Baroque to super modern new music, you will always encounter different types of polyrhythms. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about how I practice them, how I approach them, how I kind of internalize them so that they become somewhat automatic and I don't really have to split my brain into two halves every time I encounter a polyrhythm. So if you're interested in all of that, then keep on watching. So as I already said in the beginning, there are so many different types of polyrhythms. There are the very widely spread ones like 2 against 3 or 3 against 2. And then another very common one is 3 against 4 and 4 against 3. But there are, of course, many other ones as well. 3 against 5, 5 against 4, 6 against 7, 13 against 9. Chopin has many crazy things like, I don't know, 27 against 4. So really there are so many different types of polyrhythms and it would be very difficult to cover each and every one of them in this video. So today I want to focus on the 2 polyrhythms that really are the most common, which is 2 against 3, 3 against 2, and 3 against 4, 4 against 3. I think those 2 are really the 2 basic polyrhythms, at least for piano literature. And also if you've understood those, then I feel like you have a pretty good approach to any polyrhythm that you will encounter within your piano repertoire study. So let's start with the 2 against 3 one or 3 against 2, because I find that this is also the most simple one. So first of all, in case you don't know what a polyrhythm is, just a very simple explanation. It basically means that each hand is playing a different rhythm. That's why it's called polyrhythm, which stands for many rhythms. And in the 2 against 3 example, my right hand will be playing 2 notes in the same amount of time that my left hand will be playing 3 notes. So this is the situation that we're dealing with. It's not an even amount of notes that you can distribute like 2 and 4, where it's obviously 2 on each note, but it's an uneven amount and you have to, in the beginning at least, really split your brain in 2 and think 2 and 3 at the same time. So let me start with my basic approach to polyrhythms. I believe that when you're playing through the piece, obviously there should be some type of automatization so that you really feel like it's just happening by itself. However, when you're practicing it, I believe that you really have to be super accurate and be able to count each voice out, be able to switch in between your hands. So there are a couple of exercises that I did, especially when I was younger. Now I don't really do them anymore because I feel like I have already internalized it. But when I started out with polyrhythms, I definitely did these exercises. So first of all, let's divide the polyrhythm in the way that it's supposed to be divided. So we said that the right hand is playing 2 notes and the left hand is playing 3 notes. This means that the second note of the right hand comes exactly in between the second and third note of the left hand, since you have to divide the 3 notes in 1.5 and 1.5. So I'm going to use my knees right here and I'm going to be clapping with my hands because I find that this exercise works best when you're away from the piano and you reduce everything to the pure rhythm and don't think about melody. So this hand is doing 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. This hand is doing 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now, first, very slowly, this is the fastest one. So I would start with the fastest one going through. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And now I'm going to add this hand which is going to go on the first beat and then in between the second and the third beat. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So as you just saw, I also did a switch because it's very important that once you know how it works, how the pattern works. So in this case, if you heard continuous beats, it would be da, 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 1, 2, and 3. And the and is the second beat of the right hand. But it's important that you don't only know the pattern, which is going to help you get it right in the first place, but also that you can switch in your brain and really feel 2 and feel 3 at the same time. So let's increase the tempo a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So this is a fairly simple exercise. As you can see, you can do it no matter where you are. You can do it in the bus, you can do it when you're going for a walk, you can do it at the table, at school. No matter where you are, you can just do some tapping and really get the feel for it, because it really is a matter of exercise and of repetition. Once you have internalized that pattern, then you can quite easily, I would say, figure out the rhythm and say 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2. Now, depending on the pieces, there are pieces where, of course, this 2 against 3 polyrhythm is incredibly fast. These are the pieces where I would then suggest that once you can actually divide it mathematically in your head and you can say it out loud and switch between 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, that then you kind of let go and let your fingers do the rest. Because especially if it's very fast, there needs to be kind of an automatic feeling. So I'm going to now clap it in a much faster tempo. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So this kind of is where it gets more automatic, and I find that in the fast tempo it's harder to clap and it's actually easier to play. Now, as a musical example for the 2 against 3, I actually chose a slow example. It's from an intermezzo by Brahms, and it is very melodic, but it shows you still how the left hand is doing the triplets in this case, and the right hand is doing the normal 8th notes, so the 2 against the 3 in the left hand. And it shows you how when there is an automatization, the melody is not going to sound counted out or mathematical at all, but it's supposed to sound very musical and as if there wasn't any complicated polyrhythm going on. So now let's move on to the second, I would say, basic polyrhythm, which is 3 against 4 and 4 against 3. Now, when I started learning polyrhythms, the 3 against 4 polyrhythm seemed very, very complicated to me, because compared to the 2 against 3, where you have the 1.5 plus 1.5 and you just have this one note that you have to stick in between the second and third notes, the 3 against 4 is definitely harder. So I have a couple of tricks that I want to share with you. So first of all, if you mathematically count out the 3 against 4 polyrhythm, you have to once again find the common denominator, which is in this case 12, which means that you divide every note of the 4 notes into 3 little subnotes, and every note of the 3 notes into 4 little subnotes. So in this hand, which is going to be playing the 4 notes, I'm going to be counting 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then in this hand, which is going to be playing the 3 notes, I will be counting 4. So if I want to keep that 1, 2, 3 pattern, it would sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So put it together. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now, if I'm doing the simple clapping, it sounds still pretty complicated, I believe. So there is a trick phrase that you can use so that you understand the pattern of the 3 against 4 in a very simple way. And this phrase is pass the stinking butter in English. If you say it with rhythm, it's pass the stinking butter, pass the stinking butter, pass the stinking butter, pass the stinking butter, pass the stinking butter. And if you see what my hands are doing, I'm actually doing 3 against 4. Pass the stinking butter. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pass the stinking butter. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pass the stinking butter. Pass the stinking butter. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pass the stinking butter. Pass the stinking butter. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I just wanted to demonstrate with this little Acidorando there, this little speeding up, that it's actually so much easier to get faster if you have a pattern in your head. Now, I don't know if you want to use that sentence, but it's just a simple sentence. So I wanted to put it in here. I'm sure there are a million other sentences that you can also use, but I always find it incredibly useful if you can use language, because this is something so automatic and natural to us in order to describe a rhythm. So for this 3 against 4 pattern, to me, it was vital to have a sentence. And I had, of course, different sentences in German that I would tell myself because I studied piano in German with my teacher. So I had a different sentence, but I had something similar to this. And this is how I kind of learned to make it automatic. And I went from that sentence, which enabled me to get into the pattern, into some type of faster tempo and with some kind of internalization. And from there, I went to switching from the sentence to saying 1, 2, 3, 4, to saying 1, 2, 3, back to the sentence 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and so on. Once you have mastered that, which again, you can practice anywhere during a meeting, no matter where you are, if you're just silent enough, you can practice your polyrhythms. Let's get back to the piano, and I want to show one more musical example, probably the most famous musical example there is when it comes to 3 against 4, and it is Chopin's Fantasy Impromptu. Fun fact, I've actually never played that piece, so I just want to show the beginning, just so you get a feeling for it. What happens in that piece is the right hand is playing 4 notes and the left hand is playing 3 notes, triplets. And the piece is pretty fast. So in this piece, I think it's important that once you've done all the mathematical dividing and you've been playing it super slow and you've figured things out with a pattern and it is really securely and reliably in your fingers and you're not cheating, so to speak, you're not just playing something. Once all this is done, when you get into the fast tempo, it is important to let your fingers run freely, I would say. And what I mean by that is not to cheat on the rhythms, but once you've internalized it, just think of the overall beats. So every one, let's say, where the 4 and the 3 meet, and then just let them play. Because at the speed that you have to play this piece, you cannot be counting out anything in sentences or in 1, 2, 3s. This is work that is necessary and that has to be done before, but when you're playing it through, it needs to just happen by itself. So the left hand is playing the triplets. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. and the right hand is playing 4 notes. So if I do each group separately, it would be like this. Putting it together. Now this is an example where you really can barely hear where the note is coming from because there is so much happening and the tempo is so fast. So I just wanted to put this example here as well, especially in comparison with the Brahms from before where everything was so clear, just so that you know that the goal of studying these polyrhythms in detail and in depth is that later on, actually no one really realizes which note goes where. You just start and end the beat correctly. So this is what I mean by internalizing the polyrhythm and really creating some type of automatic playing when it comes to this rhythmical structure. I really hope that you found this video helpful and that you enjoyed it. Let me know how you approach polyrhythms, if you have different sentences that you use or different tricks that you use. I think that people can definitely benefit from these thoughts because, as I said in the beginning, polyrhythms are something so common in piano literature and they come up in so many different pieces. So definitely share your tips and tricks. And I will also be very interested to read your methods. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe to my channel. That would help me a lot. And I will see you again in my next video next week. Bye!